Natsume Lori, our protagonist, pondered the concept one day that if your cat became a human, how would they be? He dreamed of embracing his cat, Mi-chan, feeling the softness of its fluffy paws. However, his dream took a surprising turn. When he woke up, he found himself accidentally touching a woman's… well, let's just say he was surprised. Quickly realizing the situation, he apologized and asked who she was. The woman, unfazed, assured him that nothing happened. Natsume glanced at the time, panicked, and rushed out of bed, promising to talk later. The woman joked that Natsume must work at Studio Mappa because he never seems to take a break, not even in such odd situations. She would not be reporting for duty as her son had fallen ill. Natsume arrived at his workplace, greeted by news from a colleague. This revelation sparked frustration among the part-time staff, recalling her previous absence and accusing her of falsely claiming her son's illness as a pretext for spending quality time with him. They suggested curtailing her shifts as a consequence, but Natsume, renowned for his kindly disposition, hesitated to take such punitive measures. Despite being labeled a beta male for his forgiving nature, he remained steadfast in his principles. Throughout his workday, Natsume contended with irascible elderly patrons, grappling to comprehend the obsolescence of their outdated discount coupons. Weary on his homeward journey, Natsume reflected upon his yearning to communicate with felines rather than humans. As if in response to his desire, he encountered a black cat and was overjoyed when it permitted him to bestow affectionate caresses. One day, a cat strolled into his home and began frolicking. Natsume felt a rush of alarm because pets weren't permitted in his apartment. Despite this, he couldn't resist the cat's allure, and he eventually drifted off to sleep beside it. Walking home later, Natsume couldn't shake off thoughts of the cat from the previous night. Suddenly, he remembered he had left his apartment with a stranger still inside. Hastening back, he found the girl had departed, likely hours earlier. The cat reappeared, and Natsume, feeling accountable, resolved to return it to its owner. However, he was baffled. How had the cat entered when he was convinced he had secured the door? Disregarding the notion, he ushered the cat out. Yet upon seeing its mournful gaze, he had a change of heart and brought it back inside, cautioning it to remain silent to evade the landlord's notice. As he pondered the girl's identity, Natsume was left with more uncertainties than certainties. The young lady informed her companion that she wished to remain by his side. With rosy cheeks, she positioned herself atop him, eagerly anticipating his response. However, a loud rumbling from her belly interrupted the intimate moment. She requested a temporary pause and expressed her desire for a special breakfast treat. French toast crafted with a baguette instead of ordinary bread, generously topped with sugar and maple syrup, accompanied by a side of fresh fruits. When her companion suggested dining out, she politely declined, stating that she could not venture outside without risking being driven away. Realizing her remark was merely a jest, she tenderly caressed his cheek and expressed her excitement for his culinary skills at the bakery. Her companion noticed a newfound radiance in his appearance, attributing it to the restful slumber he had enjoyed for the past 2 nights. As he gazed at his reflection, the employees mistook his actions for peculiar behavior, prompting him to swiftly retrieve the bread and depart in embarrassment. Upon returning home, he meticulously prepared an exquisite 5-star meal. The young lady expressed immense excitement upon witnessing the culinary skills of her companion, exclaiming, "Why was this dude toiling at the store? Somebody ought to have sent this man straight to MasterChef." Natsume elucidated that he had harbored a fondness for cooking since his childhood days, possessing an innate talent as a natural-born culinarian. Perceiving the girl's apparent hunger, he decided to prepare an abundant feast for her. As she smiled and affectionately ruffled his hair, readying herself to savor the thick, juicy toast, Natsume noticed the red ribbon adorning her neck, reminiscent of the feline visitor from 2 nights prior. Inquiring about its significance, he questioned how she could discern the taste of the food he had offered the cat the previous evening. "Okay, this guy might be a skilled cook, but he's as sharp as a goldfish out of water," she mused. She had to spoon-feed him the answer, "I am the black cat that came to your abode 2 days ago. Come now, Natsume. It doesn't take a Sherlock Holmes to deduce this." She expounded that she was a cat girl, a being who transforms into a feline at night and a human come morning. Natsume, however, remained skeptical of her claims. She then explained her state of undress, attributing it to the absence of clothing, while in her feline form, rendering her unable to venture outside his residence. Yet, Natsume persisted in believing this was an elaborate prank. The girl bestowed upon him the choo-choo train treatment, which Natsume readily consumed. Natsume voiced his concerns about her continued stay, citing the potential dangers of a single man's abode and his occasional absences, proposing she reside with a woman instead. She laughed, deeming him a nice guy, before asserting her desire to remain with him. Drawing near, she proclaimed herself a good girl, promising shared meals, slumbers, and an elevated quality of life if she stayed. Oh yes, please, you know what they say. A load a day keeps the mental in a healthy way. She caressed his face, eliciting an intense blush from the flustered Natsume. Abruptly, she announced her intention to commence by trimming his unkempt tresses. Natsume grew apologetic and apprehensive, for she confessed to never having cut anyone's hair before. Ultimately, Natsume sought the services of a professional barber. Afterward, he proceeded to his workplace, where a coworker expressed bewilderment at his presence, as it was his designated day off. Natsume clarified that he was filling in for an absent colleague. The girl suggested he return home and allow her to assume the vacant position instead, noting that he appeared somewhat improved. Upon his return, Natsume was greeted by the sight of the girl's unclothed form, and no, not a reference to baked goods. He swiftly averted his gaze, prompting her to remark on his improved demeanor compared to the previous day. Natsume blushed as the girl surmised his newfound vitality might stem from having finally enjoyed a proper meal. Natsume contemplated whether she desired him to prepare French toast for his own benefit, but she dismissively stated, "Nah fam, I'm just hungry." She then reclined upon his bed, prompting Natsume to inquire about her name. Mi-chan rolled over and positioned herself atop him, revealing her name before reverting to her feline form. "Can we click the undo button, please?" She pounced on him, her relentless licking leading them both to drift into slumber. Morning arrived, and Natsume awoke to a series of slaps across his face. Initially angered, he swiftly calmed upon opening his eyes to the sight of Mi-chan's bare rocket launchers exposed, locked, and loaded. Panic ensued as he implored her to conceal them, lest an explosion occur in his pants. Natsume realized it was merely 6:30. Mi-chan voiced her hunger, but Natsume typically rose at 7:30 and departed for work without breakfast. Her empty stomach prompted her to remind him that he had instructed her to help herself, leading to her displeasure and an eventual bite. Natsume prepared breakfast, eliciting a smile from Mi-chan as she commended him for allowing her to rouse him early while ensuring he consumed a meal and tended to the dishes. He professed no recollection of permitting a human to cohabit with him, but Mi-chan affirmed that the cat and human were one and the same. She then noted the stark contrast in his demeanor between her feline and human forms. Natsume explained that her feline incarnation possessed a more endearing quality than her human counterpart. Taken aback, Mi-chan approached Natsume to ascertain if his Elon Musk rocket remained operational, lest he harbor a lack of interest in females. Natsume then inquired about her ribbon and potential owners, but she clarified it served to evade animal control. Suddenly, the doorbell chimed, heralding the arrival of an unmarked package. Mi-chan disclosed its contents as her own, and upon opening, offered Natsume a glimpse of her Victoria's secret, which he politely declined. He then informed her of the necessity for her to depart once she secured alternative accommodations. "Here we go again, another protector of the V card," she remarked, acquiescing and diverting her attention to her phone. The doorbell rang once more, this time revealing Natsume's landlord, who requested his assistance in walking his dog, Tetsuo, citing recurring back pain. He then inquired about the presence of a feline, having heard meowing the previous day. Natsume, in a panic, attributed the sound to a stray cat. As he prepared to depart, donning his jacket, he nearly collided with Mi-chan, fully attired and likewise ready to leave. As it was still early morning, she could safely venture outside. Mi-chan labeled Natsume a beta male for his habitual compliance with requests, despite his ability to decline or fabricate excuses. Natsume expressed his belief that he lacked any extraordinary capabilities that set him apart from others. Overhearing this, Mi-chan positioned herself before him, gently cupping his face as she insisted that this was untrue, for she would not wish to be raised by anyone other than Natsumi Iori. She implored him to cultivate greater confidence and pride, for she had chosen him. With that, she departed, accompanying Tetsuo. Upon their return, the landlord bid farewell to Natsume, but Mi-chan halted him, instructing Natsume to express gratitude. Despite Natsume's attempt to dissuade her, the landlord concurred with Mi-chan's sentiment and thanked Natsume. Natsume smiled, exchanging a similar expression with Mi-chan. Mi-chan then reclined on his bed, preparing to slumber once more, while Natsume readied himself for his impending workday. He requested that she at least prepare dinner for his return, but Mi-chan dismissively responded, "Nah fam, I'm good." Natsume returned from work to find Mi-chan reverted to her feline form. As he attempted to embrace her, she slipped away, leading him to a collection of notes expressing gratitude for his kindness toward her. The final note conveyed her fondness for his gentle nature. Natsume, flushed with bashfulness, read through the notes and acknowledged that perhaps her human counterpart was not so disagreeable after all. Every night, Mi-chan would roam, and upon her transformation into a human, she would don her attire and snuggle into bed alongside Natsume. One morning, Natsume awoke with a start, admonishing her for sharing his bed despite the sleeping bag he had prepared the previous night. While setting up the sleeping bag, he had witnessed Mi-chan in the midst of kneading. He had instructed that in her feline form, she could occupy his bed, but as a human, she must utilize the sleeping bag. Mi-chan retorted that she had never agreed to the sleeping bag arrangement, asserting that his bed provided ample space and that he should feel grateful for the opportunity to slumber alongside such a beautiful companion. Natsume refuted her claim, expressing discomfort at waking with something soft pressed against his back. "Okay, now this guy is just complaining," he mused, "because if that was me, I'd be happier than a little kid who just walked into a candy store." Mi-chan erupted into a tantrum, chanting, "No sleeping bags." Natsume then posed the crucial query of her age, to which she smiled and replied, 17. "Oh mama, I'm a criminal," exclaimed Natsume, as the author could have been referring to 17 cat years, which would approximate her age to around 80 human years. Natsume's reaction mirrored that of every other man witnessing this scenario. Natsume envisioned himself incarcerated, unintentionally dropping a bar of soap, leaving him traumatized for life. He sternly warned Mi-chan that if she dared occupy his bed again, he would expel her. Outraged by his refusal to permit her access to his bed in human form, Mi-chan challenged Natsume's reasoning. He justified that felines possess an endearing charm, and moreover, bro doesn't want to be on the receiving end of backshots in prison. She then inquired whether he found her unattractive. Natsume deflected, inquiring about her breakfast preferences. She requested neko manhwa, prompting Natsume to contemplate the notion that, ultimately, age is merely a number. During his break, Mi-chan sent Natsume a photograph of herself, leaving him unimpressed. However, upon receiving a feline image, he instantly saved it and responded with a sticker. Colleagues entered, astonished to witness Natsume consuming food, as they typically observed him drinking water. Noticing the homemade fare, a co-worker inquired if he had acquired a girlfriend, revealing she had witnessed him walking a dog, accompanied by a cute, dark-haired young woman. She expressed delight, initially assuming Natsume had hired a companion. He clarified that the individual was not a romantic partner, but rather a relative. One of the women remarked that the girl appeared too attractive to be his relation, leaving Natsume discomfited. Mi-chan, irked by Natsume's positive reactions solely to her feline images, recalled a lifetime of being deemed adorable. Now, having encountered someone who found her cat form cuter, she felt vexed. Pouting in annoyance, she consumed Natsume's cherished sweets. Upon returning home, Natsume discovered Michan slumbering and began tenderly brushing her tresses. Gazing upon her, he contemplated her attractive countenance. Abruptly, he recoiled, realizing his advanced age of nearly 30 years and the impropriety of brushing a 17-year-old's hair without consent. Ceasing his actions, he noticed the consumed snacks and affectionately labeled her "cute for a kid." An astute maneuver, Natsume, lest you find yourself incarcerated for inappropriate behavior. Michan overheard this and blushed. Awakening, she pondered the source of her elation and prepared to query Natsume before reverting to feline form. Natsume swiftly offered milk, delighting her with his acknowledgement of her adorableness. However, he then expressed a desire for her to remain perpetually feline, infuriating Michan and prompting her refusal to sleep on his bed, even in cat form. During her nightly prowls, Michan occasionally conversed with fellow felines. This time, she encountered Terran, who inquired about her owner. Michan gestured toward Natsume's abode, prompting Terran's recollection of a frightening encounter with a broomstick-wielding man. Michan assured her that her owner possessed a kind heart. They then noticed Maria-chan, the feline Natsume had long yearned to pet, but who consistently rebuffed him. Terran remarked on her cuteness, prompting Michan to declare her own superior allure before scampering back to Natsume's residence. Leaping onto his bed, she pondered the profound impact of Natsume's compliment and vowed to elicit further praise. Natsume awoke to find Michan patiently awaiting his greeting. Unveiling an adorable outfit, she anticipated Natsume's admiration, but he reprimanded her revealing attire, likening his reaction to that of a protective parent. Over breakfast, Michan questioned Natsume's staring, prompting him to deem her cute for possessing such a hearty appetite despite the early hour. She chastised him, asserting his response fell short of her expectations. As Natsume departed for work, Michan lingered in bed, wondering if he would return while she remained human. Suddenly, inspiration struck. At his workplace, Natsume found himself occupied with quelling disputes among elderly patrons when a colleague summoned him to meet someone. Perplexed, Natsume looked up to find Michan awaiting him. Swiftly apprehending Michan, Natsume hastily exited the premises. Inquiring if her attire was deemed adorable, he sternly commanded her to return home. Perplexed, she questioned his reasoning, prompting him to explain his desire to avoid fueling rumors among the local supermarket's matriarchal clientele. Contrite, Michan retreated to a nearby swing, pondering her perplexing behavior. Observing two children at play, she realized that cuteness resided in evoking joy within others. Smiling, she contemplated what endeavors, beyond mere appearance, might bring delight. As she ruminated on the swing, a figure materialized before her. Natsume arrived home late, apologizing to Michan for undoubtedly having left her famished. Yet, she remained elusive. Scouring his quarters, he found no trace of her presence, surmising she had ventured forth for a stroll. Suddenly, he recalled Michan's mention of being pursued. Natsume's expression grew ashen as he turned to find the balcony door not closed.